Welcome, and in today's video, I'm going to be covering how to master the listing presentation and close 80 to 85% of appointments that you book. Now, this is the exact framework that's used by top agents to consistently win over listings. The agents that you might be losing listings to at the current moment. They control the pipeline. They outperform the national average by 4 to 5%, or 4 to 5x, excuse me. And this is just because they know a couple of key tweaks that a lot of agents don't implement. So first things first is understanding the skill of why a listing presentation is so valuable. If you can't list, then you can't last. Listing presentations, ultimately getting listings, are super scalable, and it requires less time than finding buyers, chasing around with buyers to try and hopefully hope that they purchase one of them. Listings are a lot more sustainable as a business model. The buyer side commissions are shrinking, and listings protect your income long term. With that being said, treating listing presentations as a non-negotiable process that you run every single time, not just when you feel like it, is a golden nugget to shoot for, because a lot of people just roll into listing presentations like there's no plan or action behind it. If you have a specific plan and action going into a listing presentation, you're going to be a whole lot more prepared. So what is that and what not to do? So what to not do in a listing appointment is just wing it, right? This is a $10,000 to $30,000 conversation. Don't go unprepared, right? Come prepared. With that being said, relying on personality alone, charm isn't a strategy, a repeatable system is. So charm is going to help, and building a relationship with the prospect is going to help, but ultimately you cannot rely on personality alone. You have to have other areas and avenues that you have that are actually providing value to the prospect. With that being said, skipping pre-qualification. Never ever sit down with an unmotivated or unqualified seller. If they're unmotivated or unqualified, they shouldn't have gotten on the calendar in the first place. So find ways to pre-qualify your meetings before you actually get on a meeting with them, so that way you're not wasting your time with an unmotivated or unqualified seller. And then arriving without paperwork. Always be prepared to sign on the spot. If you're not ready to close someone, or you're not ready to ask for the close, there's no way you're gonna get the close at all. Like, it's just impossible. So you have to be ready to actually sign with them and move forward with those next steps. So if we backtrack a little bit about the math that proves this system, an average agent might get 100 appointments. They end up listing 20 of them, so 20% conversion rate, and then they sell 15, so they sell 75%. And at a 10K commission, that's about 150,000. Great, not bad, but there's so much more opportunity. And that's the biggest thing a lot of agents miss, is that opportunity cost. With a system-based agent, 100 appointments is 85 listings at an 85% close rate. That's 70 listings sold, which is 700,000 in commissions at a 10,000 per commission rate. So same effort, same exact process, same amount of appointments, 4 to 5x the income. The only difference, skill and process. So I'm going to cover over all of those right now. The 3 segments of the high converting listing presentation is segment 1, from door to price conversation. Then segment 2 is pricing, and then objections and closing. So use 5 to 6 trial closes before even talking numbers with the prospect. So you're going to want to get micro commitments throughout the conversation to make that final close feel a lot more natural, right? So I'll give you some examples later on in this video, but these are going to be little things that you're kind of getting pulse checks with the prospect to see, are they ready to go, or are they not feeling too ready? Because instead of just doing the whole presentation and the big ask at the end, you want to have little asks throughout. Number 2, segment 2 is pricing. So collaborate with them. Don't dictate. Let the sellers feel that they arrived at the price with you, and guide them with data and logic, not, an authority perspective, that I know best approach, right? You want them to be on the same side of the table as you. If you're fighting against the prospect, it doesn't feel you're on their side, there's not a high chance of you actually working with them. You want to feel like you're with them on their side of the table and you're making a decision together. Segment 3 is objections and closing. So present without emotion. Handle the objections with logic. The follow sequence, so acknowledge, address, and then close. And then always aim to sign before leaving. Leaving without an agreement, cut your odds 50%, if not more. If you leave that property without an agreement signed, the chance of you actually closing go down significantly. I'm going to cover over the sequence in a little bit here on acknowledge, address, and close, but this is an objection kind of framework where you acknowledge the objection, you address it, and then you reframe and close, which is going to be very crucial. So now to kind of dive a little bit deeper in all those, because I know obviously I gave top line advice, but I want to get more specific with you on specifically what to cover. So Why closing before you leave is critical. If you walk out without a single signed agreement, number one, competitors can undercut your commission. Number two, sellers can get swayed by I have a buyer pitches, and they get those all the time, and they can begin to kind of put you in the crowd with the rest of the people. Number three, decision momentum fades. So an uncertainty creeps in. Decision momentum is fading. Your control over the process drops momentum every single day that goes by. So this is why you want to really squeeze that time frame into them closing, ideally on that actual call, because every day that goes by, your close chance goes lower and lower and lower. And I know you guys have a ton of people in your database that might have ghosted you, never went through. This is why you have to make a ton of asks, because if they don't move forward on that day, it's a very low chance that they're actually going to move forward. Now, building commitment early with trial closes. I think this is a very cool technique a lot of people don't really do, but trial closes aren't about pressure. They're about addressing readiness with the seller. So an example would be, does that marketing plan sound like it would work for your home? When we get started, would weekends or weekdays be better for open houses? If we get this price, would you feel comfortable moving forward tonight? Like, just subtle asks to get them committed, right? Does that marketing plan sound like it would work for you? Not a big commitment, but it's a slight commitment in the right direction. When we get started, you're using language as if you're already working with them. When we get started, would weekdays or weekends be better for open houses? This is just another kind of level of commitment, and then another level of commitment. And the questions you go on should slowly get more committing until they're pretty much at the point where they're closed. When you get an objection, every objection should be met with the same 3-step principle method. So, number one, acknowledge it. I understand I understand what you're saying, that you want to think about it. Then you want to address it. I totally agree with that. With the right marketing plan, we know that we can get you in front of dozens of buyers. And based off what you told me about XYZ and you wanting to get to New York by ABC, I think this would be the best plan of action. I can go grab the paperwork, do da-da-da-da, and then you go for the close again. And you just keep on repeating that process and just diving deeper and deeper. And sometimes it's like an onion that you have to pull back, because there's one objection that is kind of hiding an actual objection that's below that, and so on and so forth. So you might have to do a few asks and a few acknowledge addresses and then recloses. But if you do this framework enough and really actually care about the person that you're speaking with, you're going to be able to really, really get the answers that you want and truly get to a decision with them. And that's your goal, is to make the best decision for them. You know that you're an amazing agent and you're going to fulfill for them better than any other agent can. So if you truly know that, you'd want to get them to close. You want to get them to sign up because you know that you're going to do a better job than all these other agents. With that being said, you want to make the process repeatable and scalable. So whether you're a solo agent, part of a team, your listing presentation should feel scripted, role-played, almost automatic, right? It should be flexible enough to adjust for each seller type, but it should never feel sloppy or all over the place. And you should design it to work in any market condition, just because this is a very safe framework. You're not supposed to sound robotic, right? But having a process that you know and that you follow, kind of A through Z, pretty to a T, is super beneficial, because this doesn't mean that one day you're gonna have a really good day and the next you'll have a really bad day. It allows for consistency at scale, right? And then option 9, and this is probably one of the most important, is, with that being said, you want to tailor your listing presentation by the seller type. So different sellers are going to respond different to different points. So a distressed seller, you're going to want to focus more on speed to market investor offers. A luxury or high equity, you're going to want to focus on maybe more lifestyle marketing or over list price track record. And with investor sales, you're going to want to talk about as is sales or quick close options. Make sure you're tailoring your pitch towards the actual seller. I actually have 2 videos. I'll link them both in the description, but there's one of me overcoming a ton of seller objections that I think you would all find super valuable to go look at. And there's another video of actually a live cold call of a property that we listed. And you can kind of hear some of the objections we're overcoming before they get on the listing presentation and how we acknowledge those and then, reframe and then go for the close again. It's a super, super crucial process. If you follow this A through Z, and you really, really focus on tracking stats on your appointments, which is a whole nother video in it of itself, but tracking stats on your appointments and truly getting through as many appointments as possible and following this framework until it's refined and feels like second nature for you, you're going to get that closure as high as it can possibly be. If you want motivated seller appointments booked on your calendar, click the first link in the description. We've got really cool offers going on right now that not a lot of other agencies are offering. So I'd love to have you check that out and hopefully book a call so we can speak about kind of how we can get an extra 5 to 15 qualified seller appointments a month into your business and help you convert these at 50, 60, 70%, as high as we can go. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.